Underneath Antarctica's ice lies a deep, dark secret. Today, we're melting it all to see how it would transform Earth. As sea levels rise, what would happen to our coastal cities and what unexpected diseases might be unleashed? This is What If, and here's what would happen if all of Antarctica's ice suddenly melted, exposing the continent at the South Pole. This continent is full of ice, seals, and penguins, but it also holds an ice chunk the size of Florida, the Thwaites Glacier, also known as the Doomsday Glacier. If the Thwaites Glacier, also known as the Doomsday Glacier, melts, it will cause a catastrophic rise in sea levels. It's already melting incredibly fast, shedding 50 billion tons of ice annually and accounting for 4% of sea level rise so far. Scientists predict it could melt in decades, but what if it happens much sooner? In seconds. Thwaites melts, flowing into the world's oceans, causing sea levels to rise by 60 centimeters. The streets of San Francisco, Miami, and New Orleans are flooded. But what's going on? Why did this glacier crack and break away? Beneath the ice, a massive river of meltwater flows, fed by geothermal energy from the Earth's molten interior. This process starts a chain reaction, causing huge chunks of ice to break off and accelerate the melting, revealing a hidden world of mysteries beneath Antarctica's frozen surface. Antarctica's importance is staggering. It's an ice sheet covering 14 million square kilometers, holding 90% of all the ice on the globe. Locked up in that ice is 60% of Earth's fresh water. Unlike the Arctic, there's land beneath the ice in Antarctica, though 98% of it is covered. If all this ice were to melt, sea levels would rise by an astounding 70 meters, reshaping our world forever. But first, what's waiting underneath all that ice could be equally alarming. If it all melted, ancient microbes and viruses trapped for millions of years could be released, unleashing unknown diseases. Our modern immune systems have never encountered these ancient pathogens, meaning we might have little or no natural defense. Infections could spread uncontrollably, requiring cutting-edge medical treatments just to stand a chance. Luckily, we're already making progress on technologies that can help tackle these challenges. One biotechnology company, Geltech, is revolutionizing medicine with its gel-based delivery system. It's a game-changer for the millions who struggle to swallow pills, offering a smooth, easy-to-use gel instead. Their system is suitable for human and animal health, with applications in pharmaceuticals, nutraceuticals, and pet care. Publicly traded on the NASDAQ under GULS, Geltech collaborates with brands to integrate its technology into new and existing products. This could be the next big leap in drug and nutrient delivery, poised to disrupt a massive market. To learn more about Geltech's growth potential, click the link in the description. But as you'll see, it'll take more than just their cutting-edge technology to fight what's hidden beneath the ice. Bizarre creatures wait for us inside this frozen landscape. As you explore, you'll see the underside of the ice, where you'll find a type of marine life called anemones. These tiny creatures are burrowed into the ice, along with small fish and crustaceans. They're a new species with an unusual trait. Anemones usually stay rooted to one spot, but these Antarctic anemones wriggle about in the water. So, what are they eating to survive in that cold darkness? It's probably little bits of plankton and poop from ocean currents. But they're also eating something weirder. Millions of year-old rotting skeletons, bodies, and ancient bacteria from when Earth was much warmer. As more massive glaciers break off and melt, worldwide sea levels could rise another 2.5 meters, covering cities on the east coast of the United States in water. But something bizarre would happen right off the coast of Antarctica. The sea level there would actually fall. The enormous Antarctic ice sheet exerts its own gravitational pull, but as it melts, that gravity weakens, causing nearby sea levels to fall just as they're getting higher elsewhere. In East Antarctica, the Denmark and Totten glaciers melt, adding another 1.5 meters of water to our oceans. At a 4-meter rise, major coastal cities are flooded, destroying ports and farmland with salty water. Even worse, underground aquifers that provide our drinking water are contaminated with saline. What's scarier is that the contamination runs deeper than just salt, threatening to release antibiotic-resistant bacteria into our water supply. The Antarctic ice carries bacteria with a deadly superpower. They're resistant to the antibiotics we use today. If they exchange genes with the bacteria of our world, this resistance could spread, making common infections untreatable. At that point, we'd be unable to fight off many bacterial infections. But like any Hollywood villain, these bacteria also have a good side. They could help us create new antibiotics, clean up toxic waste, and even develop biodegradable alternatives to plastics. As ice melts, it's changing the way ocean currents flow. Normally, dense, salty water sinks, pushing less dense water to the surface. This acts like a giant conveyor belt, transporting heat and nutrients essential for marine life. But with fresh water from melting glaciers, the surface water becomes less salty and dense, and doesn't sink as far. It's like the ocean's conveyor belt has been jammed. It can no longer move heat around effectively. Scientists are still figuring out how an Antarctic ice melt will change our climate. If icebergs melt far out in the Atlantic, the changes in ocean circulation could even bring on an ice age. Breaking the oceanic conveyor belt also disrupts the movement of nutrients from the ocean floor to the surface. These nutrients are vital for phytoplankton, the tiny algae at the bottom of the ocean food chain. But around Antarctica, melting ice would provide a feast of iron for them. This could trigger a temporary, massive algae bloom as waters are flooded with nutrients previously buried in the ice. The growth of this phytoplankton might be a small silver lining, as they'll absorb some much-needed carbon dioxide. Ice's reflective surface helps keep Earth cool by bouncing sunlight away. But as it melts, the darker ocean absorbs more heat. Warmer waters also boost microscopic fungi, which decompose dead matter and release more carbon dioxide. On top of this, melting glaciers create a freshwater layer on the ocean's surface, making it less efficient at removing CO2 from the air, further accelerating the warming cycle. As the ice melts, something amazing is revealed. A natural wonder hidden for millions of years. An enormous canyon system, the deepest on Earth, running 3.5 kilometers below sea level. And nearby, the 15-million-year-old Lake Vostok, the 6th largest lake in the world. But you might want to stay away from its waters. The microorganisms living there have been evolving in isolation for 15 million years. Who knows what they could do to your body? You're witnessing the last and most dangerous stretch. Every last chunk of ice has melted, and sea levels have risen over 70 meters. This rapid rise has caught the world by surprise. 40% of the world's population lives near a coastline, and the vast majority are now displaced, injured, or dying. The entire Atlantic seaboard is gone, submerged underwater. People in skyscrapers race to the rooftops in a desperate bid to survive. London, Paris, Venice, and every major coastal city we know is underwater. Only a lucky few who fled inland to high ground may have escaped with their lives. Governments deploy emergency operations, but with coastlines drowned, how can they rescue survivors from skyscrapers? There aren't enough helicopters or boats. More importantly, with freshwater sources contaminated by the sea, a global drinking water crisis begins, and destroyed infrastructure leaves millions without power or supplies. Suddenly, interior land becomes the hottest property, with cities like Denver and Minneapolis more attractive than ever. But nations in the global south are hit even harder. All of Bangladesh is underwater, fueling geopolitical tensions. With so many places devastated, international aid is scarce and help is hard to come by. But there's still one more thing left to melt. The permafrost. This soil, frozen for over 40,000 years, holds vast amounts of carbon dioxide and methane. As it thaws, these gases are released, accelerating global warming in a dangerous feedback loop. Worse, ancient viruses trapped in the ice could reawaken, potentially unleashing a new global pandemic. Creating a vaccine in the midst of this catastrophe would be a challenge like never before. With Earth now 5 to 10 degrees EC warmer, a mass migration begins. The most popular spots? Canada, Alaska, and the newly unveiled Arctic and Antarctic regions. These are the new tropical paradises. 34 million years ago, Antarctica was a temperate rainforest. Perhaps that will happen again, with palm trees on the coast and alligators in the warm South Ocean. Thank goodness Antarctica isn't actually melting in minutes, turning coastal cities into watery graves and unleashing a global pandemic. I can't think of a worse situation, unless land and water suddenly switched places. But that's a story for another Imagine If.